Alright, so these are the most missed problems from yesterday's assignment. Again, everything in this assignment really focused on standard form for a circle, which is our x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. Alright, so what we really have to do is we just have to match up the pieces. So in this given equation, we have an x minus 3. Alright, that tells me that the h value is 3. Alright, we have a y plus 3, which tells me that k equals negative 3. Alright, and then we have a 36 here at the end. So that 36 at the end, that goes in for the r squared. Now, 36, the square root of that is 6. So we really can think of that almost as a 6 squared at the end. And that'll really help us get the pieces. So center is going to be at 3, negative 3. And the radius is going to be 6. So I'm going to go right 3, down 3. That's my center at 3, negative 3. Alright, and our radius is 6. So I'm going to count up 6. I'm going to count to the right 6. I'm going to count down 6. And you kind of get the point. We just work around it. And we get our 4 key points. Then we'll do our best to draw that circle in. Again, if I had a compass, I'd do a lot better job. And the computer does a perfect job for you on that circle. So that would be the first most missed question from the first of the 2 assignments, which would be graphing circles from standard form. Now, moving on to the second problem. All right, this is from the second set of problems where they actually ask you to write the equation of the graph circle. So if I look at this particular circle, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to locate its center. It looks like its center is down 5 and left 5. So my h comma k is negative 5, negative 5. All right, and then I'm going to look for the radius and see if that's a nice number. Now, unfortunately on this one, her radius is probably not going to be a nice number because they gave me a point out here kind of shaded in blue on the actual circle itself. So I know that my center is negative 5, negative 5. The point they gave me is at negative 8, comma negative 2. So I'm going to have to use the distance formula in order to get the radius. So distance equals square root x1 minus x2, so negative 5 minus negative 8, so negative 5 plus 8 quantity squared. All right, plus, and then we're going to do y2 minus y1, so negative 5 minus negative 2, so plus 2 quantity squared. All right, that's going to be square root of 9 plus 9, which is root 18. Now, that's our distance between those 2 points, but really that's our radius. So our r is root 18. All right, at this point we have the 2 key things we need because the form is x minus h, quantity squared, plus y minus k, quantity squared, equals r squared. All right, so h was negative 5, so x plus 5, quantity squared, plus y plus 5, quantity squared, equals root 18 squared, which would just be an 18. All right, so this would be our final answer for this one. All right, x plus 5 quantity squared plus y plus 5 quantity squared equals 18. Again, I think the reason that this one was one of our most missed questions was the difficulty in finding the radius. And the other issue is a lot of times people accidentally just put a root 18 in there at the end, but we've got to remember the structure we're working with, which has an r squared in that spot. So that was the second most missed question. The third most missed question is this one. This one, I think what got most people was scale more than anything. I think we just kind of get in a trap of looking at these and thinking of each mark on it as being 1. So I'm going to locate the center first. So it's right 1 and down 1. So h comma k is 1 comma negative 1. All right, then I'm going to look and see if I can get the radius off the picture itself. Now, this is what I love to see. They gave us a point that was on right on a main diameter for us, so we can just count over. On this, the radius is 2 tick marks. Now, if I look to the scale, it was 2 tick marks for 0.5. So that radius is 0.5. All right. right, and we have a 0.5 for that radius, or you could write it as 1/2, whichever way is easier for you. From here, now I'm going to take it to my form, x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared, and I'm just going to do substitutions. So I have x minus 1 quantity squared plus y minus a negative 1, which would be y plus 1 quantity squared, equals 1/2 squared. Now, I saw a couple people try and enter it just like this. I believe Khan Academy did not accept that answer. So what you need to do is you just need to take that 1/2 squared and go ahead and switch it into 1/4, which is what 1/2 squared equaled. All right, and this would be our correct equation for that circle. Let's move on to the next most missed question. Now this one did not have a graph with it, but it did give you the information. So what it told you is it said that the radius r is 7/4. Right. And they told you the center is going to be this point here. So our h comma k is negative 2.5 comma negative 4.4. So again, going back to our standard form, x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. We're going to go ahead and do a substitution into that. So x minus a negative, so plus 2.5 quantity squared plus y minus a negative, so plus 4.4 quantity squared equals, and then we're going to drop our r in there, which is 7/4. Now I'm going to go off to the side and write 7/4 squared. That way I can bring this right in as 49/16. All right, and that would give me my standard form for the equation of the circle. We've got one more we're going to run through. This was the next most missed question. Very similar issue to number 2, and that is going to be in finding the radius. All right, center h comma k is -1, +1 on this one. All right, which gives us the first chunk of the equation, x minus a negative, so plus 1 squared, plus y minus 1 squared. All right, and now we need to equal to r squared. So I have to find r, and r is going to be the distance between the center, -1, 1, and my given point, which was at 6, -4. So I'm going to set up my distance formula. D equals the square root, -1 minus 6, that's going to be -7 squared, plus 1 minus -4, that's going to be a 5 squared. All right, that's a 49 plus a 25 in there. And that's going to be 74. All right, and I'll jump off to the side real quick and just check 74 and make sure it doesn't reduce on us. So 74, a 2 can go in there 37 times, but then 37 we're stuck with. All right, that one doesn't factor anymore for us. So we're stuck with root 74. Now, the nice part about this, that's our r. So if that's our r squared is actually even nicer. It's just 74. So I'm going to bring that r squared value up. I'm going to drop it in there for r squared. And we've got our standard equation of a circle. All right, so that was the last of the most missed. It looked like people really got the hang of this. Even if they had to try it a second time, it looks like they really kind of took to it and did very well with it. So nice work on the assignment. Thanks.